Hey there, TNA fam! We're back here at the Impact Zone podcast here to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans. Today, I want to talk about some of the decisions that WWE has made, specifically in regards to some of the people that they have sent, because dude, what the heck? Some of the people that they have sent over are actually like hidden gems. And I think TNA's found this out, like with a few people, or showcased it, and maybe like WWE didn't know this. I don't know how they didn't know this, but I don't know. Like, they've got these people signed, and they obviously know that they can do stuff, and they obviously have some intrinsic value to some of these, or have like some like level of, idea of value for some of these people or whatnot. Because again, they've signed them away, so obviously, surely they have like a perception of like, oh yeah, you've got talent, you've got potential, all this stuff, rah rah rah. But like, it's been so many times that it's like, oh, these people come to TNA, and suddenly it's like, wham bam, these people are great. Like, what the heck was? Why was WWE being like, oh yeah, we think you've got talent, we think you've got potential, but we don't think you've quite got it or what we're exactly looking for. And I understand like marketability is really tough sometimes, and sometimes it's like, well, we're actually doing this in some ways to be like, oh, we want to test the waters to see if they can actually hack it, because like, it's sort, when you go to TNA sort of thing, it's a do or die kind of opportunity in some ways, I think. And it's something from the talent that it's like, oh, well, I've got to hit it out of the park as well. Like, I've got to come out there with my best stuff, my best shot to prove myself. Or it might be that perspective of saying, man, WWE think so little of me, or like, it might also be multiple things, but they might think so little of me to be like, oh man, maybe I'll be getting released soon, who knows, or whatever. I have been here for a while or whatever, and I haven't really done anything. But yeah, like, again, they're sending me over here to sort of sink or swim sort of thing. So that's I can see that being like part of it to an extent, but also when you say, hey, like, this is the plan or whatever, we send this person over here. I don't know that they have like obviously concrete ideas of like how well any of that will go or anything like that. I don't think that they do. Unless they've got a like crystal ball. No one does in some ways, but yeah, like, they might be like, oh well, we send them over there or whatever, and they might feel like, oh, I've got to pull out all this, or this is my opportunity to pull out all the stops, this might be my last opportunity, or whatever else it is, or any of this sort of stuff, or like, this is me needing to sort of have the showcase for myself, because like, now there's no WWE, like, there's no like overly produced like segments, like, it's just my talent as a wrestler, and if I can't pull it out of the bag, maybe TNA will be looking, or maybe AEW will be looking, but like, maybe WWE isn't. Like, they've done this for a reason. Like, sometimes you think, oh yes, it is an opportunity. I think Trick Williams like was an opportunity. I think the second time JC Jane sort of came to TNA was more of an opportunity, kind of, but like, I think that they like either changed their mind or whatever, and I've talked a lot about that, but like, I don't know exactly what happened and exactly why it happened, and kind of the decision making process, especially by saying that she was basically only there for a month or whatever. It was like, oh, and maybe it was like, oh, we're doing the same thing here in the men's division, so we don't want to be doing the same thing at the same time in the women's division. But you should have thought of that before the start. But either way, again, like, a lot of the people that you've sent over are like these guys that you were like, oh, whatever, they're here or whatever. They didn't really have a lot going on for them before suddenly, they went over to TNA, and suddenly, oh, look, now, we've got all these ideas for them, we've got all these plans for them, or whatever else it is. So, but yeah, like, not all of them, literally, but again, it's like, suddenly there's this renewed interest in somebody a lot of the time, where it's like, oh man, obviously they've dropped the ball again with a few things as well, but it's like, suddenly they feel like, oh wow, we actually were really impressed by that, so now we've got ideas for you. Oh wait, well, we've done this other thing, so now we've got to get you back over here and doing our sort of thing and whatnot. So we've got to get you to drop that title or whatever else it is, or get back over here to do the things that we need you to do. Or it's just not, the dates aren't working out, the times just aren't working out. They have their pay-per-views on a Saturday or a Sunday, and tapings on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever it is. So again, like, we can't afford that. We need you here Saturday and Sunday because that's our pay-per-view days as well. So, without us being able to control what dates they've got and when or whatnot, we can't guarantee that you'll be here when we need you, even if we don't need you, which, sometimes we'll need you and sometimes we won't need you and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, again, like, it's just amazing how many people got sent over that, not that they, like, were in any position very much beforehand, but like, they had a lot of talent. A lot of the people had a lot of talent, apart from maybe Trick Williams. Trick Williams was the only person that they sort of sent over. I know Obafemi came over, but he was here for a cup of coffee for one match, basically. So again, like, I don't really consider that, like, but either way, again, it does feel like, the talent is definitely there with a lot of these people that are in WWE, but it's just, I don't think that they know really what they've kind of got sometimes, and what to kind of do with some of these people. And sometimes it just takes that different approach with some people. Like, I think WWE is a very, like, linear, or mostly like linear and very specific sort of process. And I feel like wrestling, like, yes, there is a way to sort of streamline things and make things less clunky and things like that, or whatever else it is. But the thing is, everyone's journey is a clunky mess of, accidental successes sort of thing, realistically. And sometimes that is through given opportunities, like, again, but TNA had that space to give people opportunities, which was crazy, which was what, a lot of these people just needed, like Tatum Paxley, JC Jane, like, don't want to say India Black because she really didn't do a whole lot. I don't really want to say Kalani because she hasn't really done a lot since that happened, but I think they had plans for her, and then they went, oh wait, no, never mind, or whatever. But yeah, like, who else? It looks like same thing with Stax right now. Like, I don't think they had plans for him really, and then it's like, suddenly here's this thing and we want to do this, and okay, we'll start putting it together and start planting the seeds and whatever. And I think, again, when they went, oh, we're going to move Trick Williams up to the main roster, we're going to move this person, or they were starting to think about moving a lot of people up to the main roster, they were realizing, oh yeah, if we move all these people up to the main roster, who's going to take their place sort of thing. Who's going to be in that position next? And it's like, oh, we really don't kind of have many people that are in that position that are ready. Yeah, we're going to have a whole lot of like people that we really haven't, put very much time into or whatever. And maybe they saw something with Stacks there. So I don't know. But again, like, I think that given the opportunities in TNA, that they actually started to go, maybe this guy has a bit more than what we thought he has, because like I don't think they've ever really like go out there and have a 20-minute match. Like just have a match. Go work, kid. And that's sometimes I think what some people need. They just need to be told, go out there, have a match. You've got this inherent story. Go work your match. Like, we'll give you some decent opponent. We'll give you some other stuff to work with. We'll give you all this other stuff to work with or whatever. It's not to, like I said before in an episode where it's like, I'm talking about the fans in TNA not being like super receptive or whatever to the NXT stars. It's not like they're like deadpan to the NXT stars because they don't care about them. It's because they know that WWE doesn't, and they know that this isn't gonna last. So it's not about like like I said, some of the stars have a lot of great talent, and there's a lot of great talent in this, but it's just WWE has been like, yeah, but you're in the corner and we don't care about you, and we're too busy with our other real superstars to really care about you. So yeah, whatever. We don't really care about all that other stuff. We don't care about this or that or whatever, until it's like, oh, well, now we need to care, because now it's like, oh, well, if we don't, we're not going to have much of a roster left here in NXT if, Oba's gone, if, all these other people are gone or whatever. And maybe, like, at some point they're just like, we're kind of done with it. Like, what we want to do with it is just hand it off to somebody else. And I don't know, maybe that is, like, I don't know what their plan is specifically, but it just really seems like their only interest, like, and again, I understand, like, if you're interested in the money makers and the money and the ticket movers and whatnot, but not everyone can fill that role. Sometimes you need people to fill other roles, and eventually someone will, fill into that role of just, they're there, but they're not really a person that, is a real superstar, because they don't get to win a lot, because we just need people that, have to lose sometimes, because, there are people that need to win more. And I understand that. But again, it's like, when you don't, try to say, oh, let's, like, you should have had time to sit there and say, okay, let's build up as many, or try to build up some of these other people that we have here on the roster, so that when, Obafemi and all the other people leave, that they are feeling like, oh man, like, these guys are going to take over, these guys are going to be great, these guys have got it, whatever it is. No, what you've spent like, not everyone, but, like, again, most of the people that are there, you haven't really spent enough time doing that. You haven't spent the time to be like, oh man, we're really going to invest in these guys, or, we're going to give them some good stuff to work with, or whatever. Nah. If we gave them stuff to work with, we gave them stuff to work with. But, and it's like, again, you've got Joe Hendry again upcoming in the in a match there next week, I think it is, for like, I think it's like a 6-way for the title or something like that. And it's like, wow, like Ricky Saints is the only like other superstar that's basically in that match. Wow. And I think you've basically got an Obafemi wannabe clone in there. Like that's what you've got. Like you're saying, "Hey, we've got Obafemi at home, guys." You know, like that's what you're saying, you know. When you're being like, "Oh, we'll put this guy in there. People will think it's Obafemi." Great. You know, like what? You know what I mean? You're trying to get people to be like, "Oh man, hashtag budget over Femi," you know, whatever. You know, like again, you've got to have that idea of, even if you say, "Oh, we don't see it," well, let's listen to the fans. You know, like let's go out there or again saying, "Hey, well, the fans are in agreement." And maybe that's because, again, we have been, you know, not pulling our finger out or not trying hard enough or whatever else it is with some of these guys or whatever, or it's just been too long with these guys. So it's like, well, and like it does feel like now those guys have gone, it feels like, oh man, now we're trying so hard to push some of these guys, but we're only trying hard to push them because those other guys are gone. Like, you've got to have that sense of, like, not that this was bound to happen, but this is them earning their spot, earning their stripes, not just, oh, well, we won't have anyone better in a few weeks' time or a few months' time. You know, that's what happened with Santana and Josh Alexander. It was like he earned his stripes. It wasn't just people were like, oh, well, he's leaving soon. People knew he was leaving, but they wanted Santana. And, like, I want to circle away just a little bit, which I do often, but the main reason why I wanted to bring all of this up and say all of this was because, like, I have said some negative things about, like, all of this sort of hoopla and kajigger and, you know, the NXT TNA crossover or WWE crossover or whatever. When I'm saying things about that, like I said earlier, it's not anything against really the talent themselves. It's about the way they are presented and have been presented and been booked and whatnot thus far or whatnot by WWE. If you are seen as an unimportant person, then like when you're given it, like it is cool to see somebody be given an opportunity, but it's like, well, this person hasn't earned any opportunity. How have they earned an opportunity? It's not like they won a match or whatever. You know, that sort of thing. But they've just answered an open challenge or whatever. Which is like, oh, okay, great. You know, in some ways, because it is like, well, when you have these open challenges a lot of the time as well, it's like, oh, okay, well, nothing's happening then, and also we've got no story. Like, realistically. Our story, like, at least for this division, or at least for this thing, is we have no story. We hope people are surprised by some B grade, C grade, D grade, whatever level wrestler that's been in WWE and has barely had any TV time and, you know, hasn't really done anything and hasn't really got many opportunities or anything, sort of thing. So it is cool to sort of, as I say, see these talent, because again, like it is, they have a lot of great talent, but they're just never in that space of being like, oh wow, you know, like I'm criticizing WWE way more for what, like, for the talent, you know, perspective or for anything else, because again, as a talent, you can only represent yourself or whatever, or your match, your program, whatever else it is. But when you're the biggest wrestling company in the world, you have to represent all of your wrestlers. And yes, as I say, not everyone can be the top dog or whatever else. Not everyone can be treated like a top dog. But again, when you're just like, we're sending you random people that we've got nothing to do with and we haven't got ideas for, basically. It's like, oh, that's not what people want. People want to see guys and gals who at least have some decorum of, like, you know, they're on TV, they have some sort of story, they get some wins, maybe they get some losses, whatever else it is. They're treated like, oh man, they could break out at some point or whatever else. Like, you know, those sorts of wrestlers, people who have been around for a while, have an established character, established lore, etc., etc. They don't want to just see random person number 21 who's, you know, who's there, who's like, even the most, or fairly most hardcore of hardcore people go, oh yeah, this person exists. They've barely done anything with them. And it is, like, again, it is cool to be like, oh, well, maybe now they'll get a chance or whatever. And for some people, it has led to them getting big chances. So again, like, that is great for when it is like, oh, we want to see if this person can prove themselves or whatever else it is. Go over to TNA, we haven't got anything for you. And then when you come back, we'll reevaluate or we'll see where we're at or whatever else it is. You know, okay, cool, you know, like, to an extent. But it is, again, like, they've, besides like a handful of times, besides sending Trick Williams and Obafemi for a cup of coffee, you know, it was like they never really sent, or have never really sent, besides AJ again, any of their proper superstars over. They've just sent guys and gals who they were like, we have this person, and like, and whatnot, and it's like we're not doing much with them. And it's crazy for me to see, like, Sol Ruka, Zarya, and some of these other people, like, that come over, and they're talented as fuck, and I'm going, like, dude, how the fuck does WWE have nothing for these people? They're just like, we don't know what else to do with you, we'll stick you in a random tag team, or we'll just do this stuff with you, blah blah, and then we'll send you over to TNA, bye, and then we'll see how you're acting, like, again, or whatever, you know, how you're trending or whatever, you know. Of course, with those people that, you know, a lot of those people, it's like, well, how can we get them to go upwards or go get a bigger reaction when we've been sitting here, like, doing nothing with them? Of course they're not going to get much of a reaction or whatever else it is when it's like, oh, that's that, you know, person that sometimes appears on their F show and mostly just loses in, like, less than a couple of minutes or whatever, or barely has matches, or barely has promos, or barely has a proper story or a proper back lore, or, you know, has had proper segments very much. It's like, oh, yeah, we haven't spent much time with them because we've been spending time with other people. And it is tough to find time for everybody, I get that. But again, like, you know, that's why have just a few less talent or something. I don't know. You've got way too many talent and not enough to do with them all, you know. But yeah, so I wanted to say some positive things about, like, the NXT people, because I feel like maybe some people have the incorrect opinion or whatever that I don't like them or I hate them or anything like this or anything like that. I don't want people to feel like that. I want people to feel like I'm not criticizing the talent themselves or whatever. And again, like, when you have generic Def Rebel music.exe, like, it's like, it all sounds the same, so how do I know who the fuck this is that's coming out? This just sounds like every other, you know, WWE generic track. And like sometimes like the tracks need to get to the crescendo, so to speak, quicker or whatever. Like I feel like a few songs feel like that, or you need to hit the crescendo at the start, sort of thing, so that people go, you know, this is who that is, or this is who it is, or whatever else it is. Um, so, and when it's like hard to debut new music as well, because like again, like getting the timing of things is like important, you know. So, but yeah, like I do find that like when you have like sort of specific music to a specific wrestler, like it does feel like, oh man, cool. It starts to stick more, because especially when it's been it associates with them for a while. It starts becoming like, oh, okay, we know whose music that is, and then it's like they're a great talent or they're a great performer or whatever else it is. So yeah, people will pop or will be excited to hear their theme music if it's in an unexpected or somewhat unexpected situation, because it's like, oh shit, it's this person. We haven't heard or seen of that person, or this is a new person that's coming into the company, you know, sort of thing. Um, and it is really hard. Like, I think that's like where you've got to be like, how do we introduce this thing to this audience subtly enough, but so they don't know what it is? You know what I mean? Because, like, you don't want to give the game away, like, if you're debuting somebody at a certain point, like the Royal Rumble or whatever else it is. Playing, like, the theme music and having, like, something on the Titantron or whatever else it is to sort of hint at it is a great way to sort of start, like, building that up and going, what's this? What's this? And people start getting used to the music, but you can't be like doing that too much, because it's like, well, if every time we do it nothing happens, people are just going to assume, well, nothing's happening a lot of the time. But people might start reading into the inference of saying, oh, they must be teasing something, somebody must be debuting, something must be happening, rah rah rah, whatever it is. People are smart enough to sort of go, why are they playing this random ass music right now, or whatever it is, and things like that. So again, like, how do we debut someone? How do we get somebody, you know, into the company or whatever else it is? Well, you've got to say, okay, cool. We need people to be ready to hear this person's theme music, so they've got to kind of heard it before, but they can't have, like, they can't know who it is so much, but they've got to have an inkling of, like, okay, this is something, this is someone, who is it? Like, there are certain themes that can hit, like, straight away, so to speak. Like, you can feel like, oh man, that has a certain vibe to it, so it feels like a vibe that people will, you know, immediately go, oh shit, it's this person, especially if you have like a Titantron, or have like it revealed on the Titantron basically at the same time of saying who it is or whatever else it is. The right music can like lead to the right person, you know. Like, I think Nick Nemeth, or Dolph Ziggler, when he debuted as Nick Nemeth in TNA, I think, like, you know, that people were like, never heard that theme music before, but they were like, dun dun dun, like they heard that, you know, unzip dun dun dun, and that's like, oh whoa, what's this? And then they saw, wanted man Nick Nemeth, and then he was in the arena, or he ran out into the arena. So again, it's like, holy shit, it's Dolph Ziggler, basically, like that whole thing. So fans got onto it fairly quickly. Like, it had that certain vibe to it, whereas like a generic rock or metal or whatever track that's like slow to get into, this is where it, like the crescendo intro peaks or whatever, is like, that's not it, chief. You need to get to you need the crescendo, then you need like the music coming in or the stuff coming in after that, because like it's like, or the iconography to start with. You need to be like, this is their iconic soundbite. Oh my god, is like Nemeth's one. I don't think Santana has one, but he doesn't need it as much because the theme song of itself is just really strong. I think like Macklin's like bullets kind of shooting off or whatever, that sort of sound sort of suits him pretty well, or was suiting him pretty well. Trust the system, that's telling you exactly, well, not exactly who it is, but it's telling you, this is the faction or whatever, effectively. The Hardys music is iconic, of course, so it's like, obviously they haven't messed with that too much. I think they've changed it slightly, but like, yeah, I think you don't need to do much to it because it's an iconic piece of music. I think Mustafa Ali's like music is pretty ingrained now. So yeah, just also having the whole package, so to speak, with a lot of these wrestlers. If they don't have great theme music that people immediately go, oh, it's this person, then it's time to change it. It's time to be like, okay, let's figure out who or what sort of sound would suit this person. And maybe you're like, oh, we don't care because they're just a jobber anyway, or they're a real jobber. They don't even get basically an entrance, or they get a dark entrance or whatever. So we don't really care. But yeah. No, I do 100% think that like wrestlers are a whole package as well. Like, you've got to be thinking, like, it's like hard, I think, in wrestling to be like, let's listen to this song, or let's listen to this music, or let's put this music together, or whatever else it is for this performer, or whatever it is, and find a focus group to go, okay, we want people to hear this, and we want people to feedback on it and be like, is it good? Is it bad? Does it have the right flow to it? Da-da-da-da, that sort of thing. Whatever. All of that stuff. But again, that's the sort of thing that you've got to kind of try to do, to be like, okay, we've got to hear this person's theme music, and we've got to go, no, it needs to get, like, it is good, but the thing is, it needs to get to the point a little bit sooner. It needs to get to the, iconography piece as soon as possible, like right out of the gate, or basically, because otherwise it's like you're hearing this music or this thing and you're going, who the heck is this? And then the iconography kind of hits, and then you're like, oh, that is, unless you've already seen like the Titantron or whatever else it is or whatnot. It's like, oh, it's this person, and then the hook kind of hits. It's like, they really should lead with that, like, hook a little bit more, because that would be, like, better. People would go, hear that dun 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 or whatever it is and be like, oh, cool, great, you know, what's this? Who is this? Once you know who it is, it's like burned into your mind of saying that dun 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 is this person, right? Or whatever it is. Or, you know, I don't know, whatever you want. The, you know, is this person or whatever it is, you know. So yeah, once you've got like a person in mind with a theme song kind of thing or whatever, it's like every time you hear that dun dun dun, you know it, you know who it is coming out, you know. So again, like getting that like hook to be basically the first thing that people hear is the most important thing, not hearing, you know, all this sort of stuff that sort of doesn't lead people into going, oh, we know who this is. It's just not hitting, you know, the mark, so to speak, because it's like, oh, you know, it doesn't have that instantly iconic or recognizable part to it. So it's like, oh, well, you know, no one recognizes this until it's like that part that does come in, like, you know, feeling, you know, iconic or whatever, or until it hits the beat or whatever, you know, properly. There's only a few wrestlers I feel like their theme needs to be slightly tweaked. Their theme is actually quite good, but it needs to be tweaked so that you hear that, like, you know, whatever sort of thing at the start, rather than just being like it's halfway through, or well, not halfway through, but it's halfway through, like 30 seconds or a minute into listening to their track. You need that iconic part at the start for people to be like, you know. So yeah. But yeah, no, like, again, yeah, so I wanted just to say that, you know, WWE doesn't do their talent or their partners sometimes any favors by, you know, having a lot of these talent be underutilized or whatever. Same for TNA. Like, they have underutilized talent, but I would think that a lot of the underutilized talent are talent that, you know, are the older talent that don't really need to be in that role or in that position anymore. So I feel like saying, hey, you know, it is what it is for younger talent, and just saying, hey, we need to focus in on them, you know, is like, oh, okay, cool, great, you know, let's focus in on them, or let's do this, you know. But yeah, no, guys, I understand that, of course, you're all very smart and you'll know all these things. But I've got to do it for the people that don't. And I've got to do it for myself because I'm kind of obsessed, if you didn't realize. And I just need to talk about these things sometimes. And it's fun to talk about, fun to think about, you know. But either way, I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you will join me again in another one.